to Recordology.
So I was inspired by my friend via Westlife's recent video about the, 5-star radio or something like that. I thought that was really, really interesting. A very cool pair of videos he did on that product. And it got me thinking about this guy here, the Redicus, which is a fantastic basic radio. And, you know, I was surprised how many people want an AM/FM portable radio that works good. And this one definitely does. I'm not going to review it again because we've already done it. So we're going to take it apart because I got to thinking about, you know, his video and, you know, the Sony chips in there. And it's pretty common, like, you know, a lot of people know to find third-party and even competitor product chips in a device. So I got to thinking, I wonder if there's anything recognizable from the Redicus. So we're simply going to tear it apart. Now, if you want to get a full review on this radio, go ahead and check. I'll go ahead and put a link in the description below. Hopefully I remember to actually do that. But let's go ahead. I'm not going to do a full review, but let's go ahead and listen to something on it. If I remember, this does have a digital tuner, was sort of the only drawback. But let's see. Yeah. So it's a digital tuner. You can hear that clippiness.
Texas. I think I can give 10.
You can identify a digital tuner by that clippy choppiness and a lack of a lot of static. But this thing sounds great, very clear.
5683 800 525 5680.
Very good reception. Does a great job. It's a very basic device. There's no Bluetooth, there's no SD card, none of the things, none of the bells and whistles that often get, you know, put into a radio these days, or a Walkman type of device as well. Now, one thing I like about this, so the 5-star unit, is it 5-star? I think it's 5-star that he reviewed, and people in the comments were like snapping them up. They're like, I gotta get this, I have it, I love it, mine's coming Wednesday, whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, again, I'm just surprised people want an AM/FM radio, but for me, that device, I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. I love the videos. The videos are great, but I didn't like the product. It was fascinating to me, especially all the molding stuff where they, you know, cover up the power supply and the mysterious extra battery spot and, you know, all of that. I find that stuff fascinating, but, you know, I personally wouldn't want one. Whereas the Redicus, I feel like this is a very polished product. I feel like it's finished. I feel like it's ready for prime time. And but I am curious, you know, what makes up this device? There's not much to it. The cabinet is mostly taken up, you know, with the batteries. And then, you know, not much besides the speaker. There's not a whole lot of room in the cabinet itself. But we're going to open it up, take it apart, and see what it's all about. So let's do that now. One thing I think is kind of interesting, I've got the screws out, by the way. I haven't popped the case open yet. Is see these coils? I mean, this is pretty typical for the negative side of a battery terminal. And, you know, just a piece of wire or something for the positive side. But look at this. I have never seen one of these. I'm like, what is that? It looks like a little burner. But it's actually, I figured out, I think it's just a compressed one of these. Is it? No, because that coil goes tighter. Anyway, it's kind of an interesting way of wiring it all together. All right, I am on the verge of getting this thing open, so we are close. Okay, guys. The time from the last clip until now was ridiculously long because this has to be one of the most difficult to open cabinets of a small portable radio I've ever come across. I don't know why it was so hard. It was just catching it. I was slowly removing knobs, got all those off, got the antenna off, every screw. I'm using things to wedge in there and work my way around. I was literally at the point where I was like, I'm going to just have to break this to get it open because I've already committed to you guys that we're looking inside it. By golly, we are. So I finally got it off, and I've saved this moment for you and I together. If you want to hit pause and go get a nice, refreshing beverage, maybe a cup of tea, so we can dive into this and savor it together. Here we go. What is inside? What parts make up the Redicus AM/FM Super Basic Radio? Well, first let's start with the inside of this. Okay, we have a no-name speaker. Interesting. back of that molding there. This thing is indestructible. So it's a 6 ohm 2 watt speaker. Set that off to the side there. And what do we have? We actually have a string operated tuner, which is cool. This is interesting. Thermal fuse fitted. So that is going to be the transformer for the DC power supply. Well, the AC power supply converted to DC. I love the bright red and blue wires there. I don't see anything component wise we can look at this. Look at the path of the string. Let me unplug this speaker, by the way. And I love that they used plug-in components. I think that, again, we're seeing more actual components and not hot glue, so that's a good sign. Okay, so for whatever reason, this guy doesn't want to come out, and I don't want to force it. So it might be glued in there in addition to being plugged. But look at the path of this tuning string, which I think is pretty interesting. You'll see it comes up over here and goes around, up over there, around here, up over here, the little pulleys and things, up over the top to where the indicator is. Very, very cool. Pretty hollow cabinet like we predicted down in there. I don't see anything of note. Really, there's just nothing to this. Now let's look on the IC level. Let's see if we can spot a brand name of anything. I don't. I mean, that is a generic IC. I love how these knob operated switches work, where it's literally just a round knob that operates an old school AB up and down switch. You know, can't beat the basics, right? Okay, so I got this PCB detached. I was able to manage to unplug these. They were actually okay. So let's look on the flip side here and see what we got. There's a ferrite rod antenna. And we have there's an IC in there. Can we read it? So yeah, these are completely generic as I can tell. This entire device, the only branding I see whatsoever is on the capacitors. It's a JWCO vent, and that is it. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I was just curious. That's why we got under the hood to see. Both of these chips have numbers on it. You can look them up, but I think it's fair to say they're probably not Toshiba or Sony chips, which are pretty common. But anyway, there you go, guys. I hope you thought this was interesting. Let me know down in the comments below. But that's going to do it for now, guys. Happy record hunting.